Hey everybody, how are we tonight? Welcome to what is supposed to be the last stream. I think they've gone quite well. What do you think? I know I've had some direct messages and a few people have signed up. Hey Bashi. And I think they've been going really well. And what I think I'll do is I'll do them maybe once a week or twice a week. So sign up to the Podia website and I might just jump on every now and then, just do them off the cuff. Thank you, Adrian, for being here for most of them. I really appreciate that. Thank you, Brad. Look forward to seeing you soon. Hey, Bashi. No, I'm going to do them. I'm going to carry on doing them, and but just not as often because it is a lot of work, and I'm quite busy with clients. And the missus isn't very happy because it's tea time here, and I'm the cook in the house. She isn't. So she's not very happy with me. But yeah, lots of exciting things happening. And it just gives me a bit more time to make more content. I'm doing a new course on mixing kick and bass and everything else. Lots of content coming up. So yes. Right, any questions for us today? Thanks, Adrian. Okay, I've just loaded up a track actually that I've not planned anything for tonight. I just thought I would jump on, and there's no vocal. Get rid of that. It was a piano from an old school house track. I just put it in. Do you think Dolby Atmos will become a thing for club music? Adrian asked. I know that Ministry did it because Yusef is a good friend of mine, and he did a DJ set in Dolby. You've got to think about the people who are making music, and you know they haven't got the money to spend on making records in Dolby. And you know, it's a young kids and stuff like that are making a lot of the music, and they're just not going to do that. You know, I would like to see something. I would like to see a platform where Dolby Music does it. And when Yusef did it, he said it was amazing. Took a lot of time, a lot of planning, and yeah, you know, dance music. It's made by. A lot of it is made by young kids, you know, people who've learned by going on YouTube or done a little course or whatever. And I think that they're the people that are driving the future. You know, they're the shepherds with all the mates and the sheeps running it. And the other thing is that, you know, in the UK anyway, it's different. The UK is just, I don't know what to say. We had 1,600 clubs 3 years ago. Now we're down to 350. And there's many reasons for that. And one of the reasons is that, you know, people can't afford to run clubs and own clubs where people go out twice a week, if that, sometimes once a week. So the sound systems always come. You know, they're never the most important thing, very rarely. So I can't see it taking off, but I know Ministry have done something. So, yeah, I mean, producers are more worried about the social media than they are doing Dolby, I think. Excuse me. So yeah, I can't see it. The UK scene's knackered. And I'm going to do a live stream on Monday, everyone, and I've got Graham Farmer on, and we're going to talk about this. The UK scene is on its backside, and there's two kinds of music that are being played besides your major clubs, right? Because the clubs are all shutting down, and it's all commercial. It's like my music, cheesy, disco, same stuff that's been done for years, or like deep housey, MKE, I call it, you know, that kind of stuff. In the bars, because the bars are taking over the clubs to a degree. And then a lot of people are playing house parties, you know, they're not really playing underground. And, you know, people have got so many small pockets of music and of people that they follow. There's still obviously a strong scene, you know, your Fred Agains and, you know, Warehouse Project in Manchester, where I'm from, is thriving, but that's not really a club. It's more of an event that's on for 3 months of the year. And I come from clubs, small clubs as well. You know, I ran a club in Manchester for years, which was amazing. It was like 500 capacity, but we got 800 in there. And it was just a vibe, and it was bouncing, and you're in with the crowd. And yeah, just people just don't seem to be into it that much. Niche nightclub in Sheffield. I never actually went to Niche. There was a bit of a problem, wasn't there, between the Manx and the Sheffield crew. But my friend Naughty Nick was the resident there. And I was never really into the bass line and the garagey stuff to a degree. So no one ever went. And I was busy DJing myself. But my friend Naughty Nick was a DJ there, so I know all about it. Yeah, the clubs are knackered. I mean, I'm going to have a chat with Graham on Monday, and I'm going to talk to him about, you know, where is it going? Specifically in the UK. I can see it's growing in other places. You know, and me, I'm producing lots of records now. I'm getting signed to good labels every single time now. I've got my sound, but it's like, when I get a one-to-one client and we talk about the roadmap, like, where do you want to play? Like now, I wouldn't really know where's playing proper house music all the time, you know, in Manchester. Which clubs? Now you've got this. You've got somewhere called Joshua Brooks, which is really good, but they're only booking names really. And then you've got the Warehouse Project, which is only big names. And I just don't know, like, where the scene's going. I know where it's going. It's going to festivals and big events. But where's the club scene going? Because for me, you know, I like playing festivals, but you're so far away from the crowd and the energies, and it can be good. When I played Park Life, it was amazing. I love festivals, but there's something really special about being close to the crowd in a club. Low ceilings and it bouncing, and, you know, not necessarily low ceilings, like the Hacienda and all that kind of stuff were amazing. So yeah, that's probably why a lot of DJs are just playing more commercials, because that's where the gigs are, in the bars and all that kind of stuff. Adrian said, it seems DJs are worried because clubs are shutting down and many can't get the gigs they used to after the summer season. Are you in the UK, Adrian? In the UK, yeah, I would say that. But there is pockets and there is small things, you know, and it's just like, you've got to know, you know, I'm not a kid anymore. So the kids and the young people who are out there, they know what's going on. You know, one thing I will say is this: don't judge the charts of Traxsource or Beatport to what people are playing out everywhere. There is the odd one, you know, because they're the more commercial gigs, you know, which are bars and restaurants a lot of the time. I mean, Adrian, if you're from Barcelona, you know, I'm signed to Jackie's, and, you know, you've got one of the best house nights around. Barcelona's a major city. It's like London. There's always a few little clubs and stuff like that. But I'm more talking about, like, outside the centre of London. I love Barcelona. We're planning a trip to Sitges, actually. Maybe you can recommend some clubs to us. So any questions about production or anything else? Oh, reverb. Bashi wants to talk about reverb. Right. Okay. Where are you from, Bobby? Okay, so reverb. Now, reverb is really important to me because you use it for a couple of things, right? You use it for creating, you know, an effect. So a big clap and, you know, the feeling of it being in a warehouse. And you also use reverb to position things in the mix. And, you know, you can make things feel like they're moving just by changing the reverb and the mix on it, you know, and the position of that reverb, like the first reflections. So there's lots of reasons why you can use it. Now, the first thing I use it for is joining all the elements in the mix together. So for example, I'll get my mix together like this. I'll get my mix together. Yes, Adrian, the guest's here on Monday. So basically, this is just getting an idea together. It's a piano line off an old Italo house called Together. And the first thing I'll do is get all the elements in. Okay. So I've got no reverbs on these. The clap's got one on. And the organ has, right? So I'll get everything in the mix. And what I'll think is this, right? I'll think, okay, the piano's the most important thing. So what's the lead? We're going to go to the most important thing, right? So I've got the piano, okay, which is an M1. Okay. So I'll get the piano, the M1, heavily sidechain that. So has this got reverb on it? So I'll probably take everything off. So in the mix, right? And I go, right, what's the most important thing here? So the piano's the most important thing. So then what I'll try and do is, you know, I do like the M1 reverb actually. I'll find a reverb that works with that sound, okay? So there's something about that reverb that I actually really like on the whole. And I'll get the reverb right. In fact, no, I won't use that one. What I'll do is I'll use something else. So I want something, a reverb that works with that, but with everything else in the mix. Okay. So the reason why I have different reverbs is for different situations. So with the piano, it's got a certain tone, and I want that reverb to kind of just glue the piano to the mix, but also make it feel a bit ravey, because in the old days, you know, they'd only have one reverb and it was really loud and loads of reverb. So what I'm trying to do is make a modern version of that with this track. So the first thing I'll go to is a lead, right? And I'll get a reverb on it. So, and let me just find a reverb for now. I used to use a hole or something like that. So I'll use hybrid verb, which is the Ableton stock. Okay, and I'll go to algorithm, right? So I'll find a hole. So with this, I want to give it that old school ravey feel. So I'll put a reverb on, loud first of all, yeah, and listen to it. but I'll do it in the mix. I want to see how that reverb glues to it. So first of all, I'll find the length with it too loud. I'll say, do I like the tone of that? And then I'll EQ it, and then I'll get it to sit in the mix. So let's have a listen to this. I'll then bring down the volume and introduce the reverb in the mix. Then I'll A/B it on and off. And I'll go, right, I'll make a decision. I probably wouldn't use that one, but I'll go, right, okay, I like that reverb in that track, right? It's quite overpowering, but now what I might do is go, okay, I will create a group, get that, and I'll probably sidechain it to the actual piano. So get a compressor, put it after it, sidechain it, audio from M1, and then I'll put the up full, and then what I'll do is I'll create a chain. Okay, so this is just like a send. If you're using Logic or something like that, Cubase or Studio One, then this is just like creating a send. In Studio One, you've got a splitter, so I've got the dry signal and the wet signal. So what I'm going to do first of all is just listen to how it ducks it. So I'd get the reverb right, and then I'd do the same thing in the mix. You know, I don't want it to overpower the piano, so I'll sidechain it to it. Okay, but if I listen to that first of all. Okay, so it's not really doing much for me, that. So what I'll do is So I'll find the reverb. So then I've got the reverb that's right for the piano and right for that track. What I'm listening to for the reverb is the tail, where it goes to and where it ends. And the reason why I did it short, first of all, because I'm listening to the reverb, how it fits in between each hit, right? But in this case, I've gone for a longer reverb because it just reminds me of the old school house music where it was drowned in reverb. You know, I don't want to overthink the reverb on this track. So I've got the main reverb in the track, right? And I like the position of the piano. I like what it's doing. It's giving me that old school feeling. Now, I'm not thinking, oh, this reverb has to be perfect, because if I want the reverb to go perfect with it and let the piano come through, I'd probably shorten it and get a different tone. Now, I would try different reverbs for different tones and different qualities, right? I'm just going to use this for speed. That's why in my reverb section here, I've got all these different reverbs. Yeah, they're really important to me, right? And whilst I give things depth and they glue the track together, that reverb there is gluing the track together, right? It's overpowering everything else. Okay, so I've got the piano in there, right? And then I'm going to put a clap in there. It's not necessarily the clap I'm going to use, but... So now I've got the piano in there. Now what I want is a reverb on that, a reverb on that clap, right? So I've actually got one on. Now, I'm going to take the piano out now, but I want that reverb to sound different to the other reverb, because whilst the piano's in, I'd like to be able to identify that reverb of the clap, right? Because it's a key part to the track, yeah? Because I'm going to have a big reverb on the clap. So this is the reverb. It's a convolution reverb, which means it's a sample, okay? If I wanted to feel like it's you know, the clap's got a bit more presence, I can use the pre-delay, but I can also use the pre-delay to make this reverb sound like it's a bit longer. Listen. And with this reverb, what I'm looking for, has it got the tone and quality that I'm looking for, but where does a reverb end? You know what I mean? Because if I had another clap, right, I don't want that reverb going over the next clap or the next item. I want it to finish before it, right? So it's not overlapping on the other one. In this instance, like as you heard on the piano, I was quite happy to let it overlap. You've got to make decisions about what's right for you. But for me, I want the clap to sound good. I want it to sound old school housey. I've actually got another one of these. So I've got all my Sir impulses here. So these are all samples from old boxes, reverb boxes. Got this one called Snare Trash, which is quite nice actually. So I like that. I might try and make the reverb wide. actually need a larger one than that, actually. Let's try a different one. A bit longer. Okay, so I know that in the intro, that reverb there works great. Okay, I'm going for an old school sound. It's particularly long, right? Because I'm trying to get an old school feel for this track, right? So I'm quite happy with that. So you've got to understand that the decisions you make are based upon what you want. But now what I'm going to say to you is this. That is the second most important reverb to me. Okay, so I want that to cut through the mix with the piano. So let's have a listen to it. So because I've used two different reverbs, they've got different tones and different textures. And of course, right, yeah, I'm going to EQ them, you know. So this one I want a bit more brighter out of it, of the clap, because I'm going to keep the piano sounding a bit darker. Right? So I've got the big reverb of the piano going throughout, and now I've got the clap reverb. Okay? Let's just go through the track now. Right? So don't forget, everything that I'm adding into this mix, right? First of all, you're adding warmth and glue, and then you're adding stuff which is which can muddy up your mix, right? And in the old days, the tracks were muddy, right? Which is why I'm having this long reverb on the piano. Okay? But on the clap, you know, it's got to sound good at the beginning. Okay, so listen to this. Okay, so at the beginning there, I know that the offbeat organ might need a bit of reverb, okay? But here in the track, okay, yeah, it is going to need a bit of a reverb. So now I've got the most important things, and what I'm going to do is choose a reverb that works with the clap reverb and the piano reverb. But in this instance, I don't necessarily need the reverb to stand out like I need the clap reverb or the piano reverb. I just need it to glue it to the track, you know. So I will find a reverb on that sound. I'll just turn off. I'll find that sound, whatever it is. So you see it's quite dry. So first thing I'll do is go to source and go, hang on a second, reverb. Do I need reverb? It doesn't sound like it needs reverb in the track. This just needs to glue to the track a little bit more. So before I use reverb, I'll go to the original sound and try the release. Hi Vens, thanks for joining us. Feel free to ask any questions about music production. We're talking about reverb tonight. So the key here is I'll try and work on the sound, and I just won't put reverb in for reverb's sake, which is what people do. Okay. Okay, so I like that. So it sounds better with the tail, so it's glued into the track a little bit more, but I'm still thinking it might need a bit of reverb. Right, but I don't want a reverb on that sound, on the bass sound of it, bass bottom of it. But actually, no, I definitely wouldn't use the same plugin reverb. Well, the thing about what I'm using here is I'm using convolution reverbs, which are different sounding reverbs. And the reason why I wouldn't use the same reverb is for exactly what I'm trying to explain to you, is that I want everything to have its position in the mix. And I want to hear the reverb on the clap. So if you use the same reverb, it's just going to get muddied up with the same reverb. I never use the same reverb unless I want everything to feel like it's in the same space. So sometimes when I'm producing minimal tech and tech, you know, it's just a sound, what those people do, where they just send everything to one short reverb on the send. That's a sound. You know, I'm not saying it's right or wrong, but that's what they do. So it depends on what you're trying to achieve. You know, what am I trying to achieve is always the first thing I ask. So with this organ bass, I'm trying to glue it to the track a bit more. I'm trying to make it feel a bit more warmer. And it is an old school track, so I want a bit of reverb on it. So let's use a different reverb. So for this something, I do want something a bit, maybe platier, like a plate. Let's try this UAD one. No, I'll try Valhalla because it's more people have got that. So I'll get Valhalla reverb. So now I am listening to the tail of this reverb, right? I want the tail of this reverb to just have got out just before the next one hits, okay? For now. So now I've got this reverb in there. I've got the right length. I've EQ'd it so it's more low end compared to the other reverbs on the other sounds. And I'm going to listen to that in comparison with the clap, right? Because I want to hear both. I love the reverb on the clap, the effect of it. Reminds me of old school house. Okay, great. I like that. I think it sounds good. It might be a little bit loud, but I'm going to put an LFO on all this to sidechain it. So now I'm listening to the clap, I'm thinking I could do with a bigger reverb on that clap. So what I'll do is I will change that reverb and I'll use another one. So I'll use something like I'll try this crappy one. So I've got good reverbs, I've got crappy reverbs. This one's just a bit of a crappy sounding one. And but it works sometimes. With an old school record, I'm trying to make things sound not great, but I still want them to cut through the mix. That's not the right reverb. Then let's go to UA, this one, SSL. I like this one. like that. I would like a bit more pre-delay actually. So I like that. It works better now. Now, how does that work with the... I'm listening how that reverb's interacting with the other reverbs in the track. And I'm listening how the reverb's making me groove. So you've got the clap, dunga, dunga. So the offbeat of the reverb, which is caused by the pre-delay, is making the track bounce a little bit more. And I don't want to get rid of that. So this is why these three reverbs will probably be the only reverbs in this track I'll use. Now I'll listen. So that's the intro of the track, they're in. What else comes in? The piano. Okay, let's put that one on. Okay, so that's still not the right reverb. So I'll go to, let's try Valhalla Play. And I'll try different reverbs because it's important to me, this clap reverb. Okay, so what I like that reverb. I like it in the track with everything else. This is what mixing is about. It's about making sure it works in the track, which is why I don't do all this stuff till right at the end, really. Oh, hi, David. Sorry about that. Okay. I have to turn it down. Sorry, I did turn it up a little bit too much there. Hey Pete, nice of you to join us. Nice to see you. David, is that better? So basically, that reverb works in the chorus with everything else in. I really like it, but then when I take the piano out, it's a bit loud, so I'll know to automate the mix on that reverb during the track. Okay? And I think that's working. And then what I'll do is I'll put an LFO tool on everything, on the buses, which I'm sure most of you know that I do that already. Just a little bump. So all the reverbs are bouncing together a little bit. And that's how I do reverbs. Now, this is the main part of the track. It doesn't need anything else in the track. It doesn't need any more reverbs, you know. And the other thing is, you know, is do I want a reverb on the piano? Well, I might try and fill up them gaps there, you know, with other things to make it a little bit more crunchier and dirty, like a loop or something like that. But also delays will work as well. So a lot of the time, like if that clap was a snare, let's just for example's sake, I might use a delay, right? Because don't forget, a reverb is just lots of delays together. You just hear them as a reverb. Like, imagine the first reflection off the wall is the echo, and then when it's all bouncing around the room and then comes to your ears, that's the reverb. So, and you have different characters for different places. So, the answer to Bash's question is, you know, would I use the same plug-in reverb? You could do, but you've got to make it sound different for each sound. It's what you're trying to achieve, you know. I'm trying to sit that organ back in the mix a little bit and glue it to everything else. I'm also looking for the reverb to act a bit of a glue between the track because it's too clean, because all I've done is just get this in and this is just a bit of a jam. But another thing you can do, instead of using, if you've got loads of reverb, sometimes just use a delay. So I'll get this clap. And I get a delay. Obviously it's not working there, but sometimes I'll use a delay instead of a reverb, depending on the track. You know, a snare, that works on a snare quite a bit. And you've got to remember that when you're, like this track is clean because it's just getting the ideas together. When you're adding reverbs and delays, you're adding stuff in which really kind of warms the track up and glues it together and makes it sound really good. But too much reverbs, and I'm just muddying up my mix. And then if I'm muddying up my mix, I'm losing dynamics and transients, and I don't want that. I always think about side chaining as well to the element that you're putting the reverb on. So for me, you know, reverbs is the one thing I've got loads of different things of. You know, I've got a few different saturation units. But reverb's really important because it's for character, and like especially for vocals, I've got different reverbs. So sometimes like the UAD EMT 140, which is my go-to for vocals, sometimes that's a bit too thick, you know. Sometimes, you know, I need to use a reverb. Or the Valhalla, sometimes that's a bit too thin. And they've all got different tones and characters that I really like of these ones. So when it comes to reverb, yeah, it depends what I'm trying to achieve. You know, if I'm doing a tech house track for someone and they want it like every other tech house track, I'll just put one reverb on and send all the drums to that. An engineer once told me never put reverb on your hi-hats, but there's no rules, you know. I put reverb on hi-hats all the time now. And I'm going to put reverb on this open heart, right? Not because I like reverb as an open heart, because it does slush up your top end, right? But it's a style. It's stylistic. So. Again, I'm listening to the tail. It's just finishing just before the next one. So I like that. And then I'll turn it down. I'll EQ it. I'll just do it so it's just got a bit more top end on it. And listen in the mix. quite like that. I'll quite keep it on. And then again, put the pianos in, see how it sounds with the pianos, because I don't want to muddy up. Because I've got the LFOs on all the buses, there's kind of the reverb's just pumping a little bit. You know, I don't think it needs anything else. What kick have I got here, Jason? Sounds nice and fitted to the piano. I've probably gone for a 909. It's an F9 Argan house kick. This track I haven't worked on it yet. I just did a bit of a quick of arrangement. It's just about getting the music together because it was it was just a jam. And this piano's from an old school track. I'm trying to do something that's a little bit more housey. So the F9 Argan house kicks. Remember the key to reverb, the key to reverb is finding the length and the sound that you want, okay, turn it right down, and then in the mix, bringing it back in the mix, okay. Nothing matters in isolation. The only reason I'm doing isolation is for you guys to understand what I'm doing. I never do anything in isolation. I will get a sound in, I'll gain stage it, I'll get the EQ and just listen if there's anything I don't really want, take out the rumble that I don't need, and then put it in the mix, okay? And everything else I will do in the mix, but I will always start with the lead. Pete Hoyle, that works on the dance floor. What kick have you got on here, Jason? Sounds great. Thanks. Yeah, F9 kicks are really, really good. James Wiltshire is a friend of mine. What am I saying? He's a geek and he's brilliant. So if you watch his YouTube channel and buy his packs, he's fantastic. He's really good. And he records everything really well as well. So you know it's good quality, which is important to me. Any more questions on reverb? Remember, everybody, I do my one-to-one mentorships. You know, a lot of my ex-clients are some of the biggest DJs around and people I've worked with on the scene. It's a 10-week course on Zoom. You know, we work in your tracks and we identify where you're going, you know, where you've got room for improvement, you know, and 90% of the time it's the same thing. So we take you back to the fundamentals and people's mixes just improve massively. A couple of weeks where it's quite intense. Compression's quite hard for a lot of people. But everyone who comes to me, a lot of them can finish records already, but by the end of it, they're getting records signed. Right. Any more questions for me? And are you all signed up to my mailing list, which is I put it in the chat. If you sign up to that, go to the website, sign up to the taster plan. You'll be on my mailing list. And then I'm also going to be doing live streams, but not as often as what I've done in January. So yeah. Pete Hoyle, is there a vocal on this track? There was. It was. I made this from when I was playing Ibiza and I was playing at Ocean Beach, and I put Whitney Houston "So Emotional" over it. It was slightly out. It was really good actually. I've deleted it. But yeah, it was a bit too cheesy. It's not where I want to go. But it was for Ocean Beach in Ibiza. I was playing there last year, and obviously it's a bit more commercial there, so I made it just for that. But it was just a quick throw together. I think I did it on the plane, to be honest with you. Hotel. Okay, Adrian, do I have a template? I do, just to save me time on MIDI and stuff like that. So if I go to, it's not even, I don't like templates, really, but just everything's about workflow for me. And as you had just heard, I don't use the same reverbs, I don't use the same delays, and I like to do things individually on channels, specifically in Ableton, because I can't use the sends, I can't send the sends back to the group. So, you know, I might always want to go, you know, oh, just stick that for a summer mixer, it's going to be popping, and just get the master engineer to stick the channels through their mixer and get it conversion and just get a second pair of ears on it. So this is my template. Right, so I've got my drums, I've got a groups. So in my groups, so basically I've just got an audio channel. Oh, that's just messing around today. I've got this, which is everything from my S2400 drum machine, which is there. So that just means all the inputs are coming from it. I've then got the Moog, or the Moog for the Americans, Moog. And I've got the Prophet. I'll put the Moog or the Prophet through that. Okay, and then I have all that in a pre-master, and then I've got everything else in a pre-master because I might not use these, you see. So in my pre-master, I've got all drums, and in the all drums, I've got the kick, the percussion, high percussion, mid percussion. So mid and high go to percussion. Then I've got the kick. Then I've got the drums. And I might often take the kick out of the old drums. Sometimes I don't put the kick in with the drums. Sometimes I might put the kick with the kick in the bass, and sometimes I just have it separate. So I've got the kick bus there. And then I've got the bass, which is just going to be trillion. I've got a mutator on there just in case. I've got a pull. This is not, I've got the LFO because I always have that just doing a slight thing. And then I've got the music bus. And on that, I've got a mutator just in case I need it. LFO. I've got these compressors. I don't know why they're on actually. I saved something today as a template. So yeah, they're not in it normally. LFO tool doing the same, just so everything in the track's bouncing besides the kick. Then got the vocal bus. There's nothing in there. Again, LFO tool, the Pro Q4 just in case. And that's it. I don't use sends and returns. And I don't like to I like to think, oh, that clap needs this reverb or that needs that delay. And because it's Ableton, I put it on the channel. But what I do have some racks. So in them racks, I'll have, you know, just a delay one, a reverb one, a distortion one, or just all in parallel. Hey, Aaron. So yes, so I don't really like templates. And the reason I've got the templates like this is because I will always have these groups, right? And I'm always going to put an LFO on. I'm always going to have an EQ, and I'm always going to have mid drums, you know, and high drums. And because they've got the MIDI in them, right? The clap's always going to be in that position. The kick's always going to be in that position, you know. The open hat's always going to be in that position. It's got 16s that I can cut down to a thing. Ride. Generally, these are things that I use all the time in the drums. Just makes it easy for me. And that's it. No, I don't like templates. I don't like them at all. I think you should work on them individually, on the sounds individually as they come along. You know, if I think it needs some parallel compression, you know, I'll put that on the bus there. Now, I did have, you know, drum compression, mid-range bus and high bus, and sometimes a bass bus just to use as parallel. But in Studio One and Cubase, but now because I'm working in Live and I can just import them from my presets as racks, I don't need to do all that. Pete Hoyle, with the keys, do you ever use the variation function of velocity or keep all notes 100%? Depends on the track. You know, I'm quite sure, like in this music back in the day, it was the keyboards were hit as hard as possible, and it's a sound. I don't use the things that you're talking about, the function of velocity or all that kind of stuff, right? And the reason is because I'm so used to going in, finding the track, and I'll go through all these, you know, like the 16s, and I will just do them automatically to what feels right. And I've also got a sidechain, and I really should start using that function, really. To honestly, I'm not quite sure how it works. So let's have a listen. It's really good to use it. Really good. Any more questions on the last broadcast? I'm going for a pint in a minute, so ask me any questions. Guys, if you've not been on here before and you're not signed up, please go and sign up on the website. There's some free videos on there of content, and just let me know what you want to see on here. I need you to keep giving me questions. I'm going to spend a bit more time making proper videos. I'm going to put them on my YouTube, and I'm going to really go into town on my YouTube page. Bashi, I'll see you at our session. Looking forward to that. Aaron, great session today. And guys, you know, hit me up. Even if it's just for a mix down, there's a free 15-minute Zoom where we talk about what I do and how I can offer it for you. And yeah, that's it. You know, it's been a good month. It's been a lot of work, you know, because I've been working all day. I get up at 5 every morning, and it's, you know, 7 o'clock here at night in the UK. So, yes, any more questions before we go? Please like, subscribe, and share. I'm going to be doing more videos because with YouTube, you lose people's attention. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to start making some really detailed videos, you know, talking about like reverb like we did then, and with more structure, and so that I'm not losing people's attention. But yeah, thank you everyone. Thank you everyone for kind of making this a month to remember. And you know, I only worked. I hate social media, and I only just did a post on Instagram every now and then. And post. I was forced to do it, and I wasn't really liking it. But I like doing these live streams because I'm more of a talk about it as opposed to just give people information dead quickly because they haven't got the attention span, and then they never learn. Which is what all my clients, you know, they've learned online, but they've learned bits and bats. They've not really learned the fundamentals. Whereas, like here today, when we spoke about reverb, I can explain it a little bit more and a bit more in context. And you know, if you're not that person who likes long form content, you know, you're gonna have to learn somehow, and to learn this, you've got to learn properly. Guys, thank you so much. I am going to be doing some more streams. I'm back on Monday, and I'm going to decide what day of the week. I might do a regular day of the week. I know Saturdays are important to a lot of people, so I might do Saturdays when I'm here, and another day during the week. But Monday, we're going to be talking to Graham Farmer, who's massive in the scene, really helps people with social media and career in the industry. He's been in it a long time, so is his wife. And we're going to have a good chat. So he's going to make a podcast out of it. So if you've got any questions, I'll try and stream it live. I'm hoping it's going to work. If not, I'm going to record it and then put it up on YouTube. And then I'm going to be doing quite a few of them with quite a few of my friends from the industry, quite some big names. So thank you, guys. I will see you very soon. Hey, Pete, just a quick one. That's what I've been doing. So if DM me, send me a message, and we'll sort it all out. I'll do one of those as a video. I've been doing them during these sessions. So yeah, 100%. Send me a message on Instagram. All right. Take care, everyone. And thank you again. Please like, share, and subscribe.